Got my hands on a guitar that's going to feature in the next video or so. This video is topical and slightly comical and slightly farcical, and it stems from the fact that every once in a while I spend a couple of hours catching up on other channels in the guitar repair, selling, review community, just to see what's going on. Sometimes it's various sellers who I like, sorry, not sellers, various YouTubers that I like, which doesn't have much to do with popularity. There are, I like certain people that aren't that big. I like certain people that are big. I tend to comb YouTube topically. In other words, I don't just follow 5 or 6 channels. When I go roaming for information, it's usually topical, like this guitar is a Cork guitar. I'll go look and see who's done reviews on Cork guitars, and that's how I get to know different YouTubers. So I'm not like religiously sycophantic towards certain channels, and I don't follow trends. There are some YouTubers that don't do well, like myself, who don't have that many followers, that I think have great content and material and things to say, and there are some really popular ones that I don't understand why they're popular and why everyone flocks to them. So I'll put that there as the beginning caveat. What sort of intrigued me is when I went combing around some recent videos, is that the guitar repair / review community is blowing up again about a certain issue, and kind of like the Tonewood thing a few years ago that everybody got involved with. Someone posted a video completely thrashing Rob Chapman. I don't know Rob Chapman. He doesn't know me. I doubt he's ever watched any of my videos. The person that put out this criticism, Rob Chapman Exposed, I think was the titled video, and I'm brazenly stealing some of that title, just for the purpose of attracting attention to my channel, because it needs it. And basically came up with a bunch of accusations and theories as to why Mr. Chapman, who is the proprietor, creator, and all-around think tank, I guess, for Chapman guitars. You may have seen him on Anderton's videos. You may have seen him on his own channel. You probably know who he is. He's fairly well known in the YouTube instrument community. However, I should point out that these people that get big on YouTube, who have thousands of followers, fame is subjective. It's really, just because you have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and you're making a bit of money monetizing your music videos. If I go out on the street outside and I say to people who live on my street, "Do you know Rob Chapman?" No. None of them will know him. Do you know Chapman Guitars? No. None of them will know him. No, most of my customers that come through here, if I say, "Hey, what do you think of Chapman Guitars?" What? You got to remember that as big as you get on YouTube, and I'm talking about your Phil McKnights and these people who have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, it's only a increment of fame, right? And we shouldn't let it get to our heads. Some of these people have these massive channels. I think it's gotten to some of their heads, and they've started to take themselves a bit too seriously. Now, in fairness, Rob seems like a humble chap. Don't watch all his videos. I don't own a Chapman guitar. Let me just click on this for a second. There you go. Something was bothering me on the screen. So, I've defended him before when he was attacked, because I thought the attacks were silly and unwarranted. And the person that attacked him this time, the video's actually disappeared or gone private, so you can't actually watch it. And so I saw a video by a guy named Guitologist, I don't know his name, never run across him before, he seems fairly big, that sort of went through the original video line by line, so you can actually watch the original video sort of secondhand being analyzed by the Guitologist video. And he sort of takes on each point, and he agrees with some of it and disagrees with others. And the first comment on the comments below was from Mr. Chapman himself, who seemed a bit annoyed that he'd even bothered to respond. And then he himself responded to the video, I think a couple of days after Christmas or around New Year's, something like that. And you know, this is not a big issue to me. I'm really using this to talk about the guitar repair / review community in general. First of all, the Guitologist, or whatever his name is, refers to the person who put up the original video as an insignificant YouTuber because he only had 40 or 50 subscribers. First of all, I take offense to that, because I think there are many great YouTubers that are not popular or not discovered yet, who don't have a lot of subscribers, who aren't doing Patreon, who have good material. I don't think it's fair to say somebody's insignificant based on, you know, some popularity metric that you have in your mind. So that's the first thing that irked me. There are people, as I've said before in this video, that have tons and tons of viewers and subscribers and hits. I don't know why they attract the attention. Maybe they just know how to keep hitting the topics that people are interested in, and I've talked about that before on my videos. Anyway, so I did manage to see secondhand some of this original critique or accusation. Some of it was personal, some of it was based on Mr. Chapman's giving to or choice of charities. Some of it was based on his the morality around his guitar production and Chapman Guitars company. I found myself saying a lot, who cares, or even, how are you going to prove that, you know? And of course he had some graphs and grids and some visuals to make his point stick, and he's entitled to do that. But I had to find myself while watching him, as a young kid, looks like Axl Rose, I found myself thinking, what's your motivation behind all this? Why have you bothered to put together this really comprehensive sounding list of criticisms over somebody you don't know? I mean, did they send you a guitar that wasn't very good, or did they personally offend you in some way? I'm not quite sure what the motivation behind all this. Are you just doing it to create a shitstorm on YouTube and get some views, hits? And people do that. I think there's already 6 or 7 response videos already up among, and this will be another one right here, although mine's not really serious. So, you know, what's the motivation, and why do you care what charity somebody gives to, or how much, or and if you feel that somebody's immoral, that somebody's in it for the money, and that they are not trustworthy, just don't buy their products, don't watch their channel, don't support their stuff. You know, there's a lot of people, when you watch a Chapman or an Anderton's video, that are really sycophantic, supportive, you know, just sort of almost arse-licking, if you like, because this is a successful guitar proprietor and player, professional, and they want to be associated with that. And there's another crowd that are highly critical, almost envious of the man's success and what's going on with his guitar company. Whether you like the guitars or think the guitars are good or worth the price or not is rather secondary. I think a lot of the negative response comes from people sort of in and around the guitar community that wish they had the same impact or level of success. So I think there's a bit of jealousy going on there. You know, there are people in high-profile positions that I don't particularly like, or I don't particularly like their products, or I question their intent behind what they're doing, and I just basically don't buy their stuff, don't support their products, or I don't even watch their videos if I'm that, if I find them that objectionable. So this thing blowing up just seems silly, and my response to it here probably seems silly. Why are you bothering to make a video of it? Basically, to remind people in the guitar community that this is a small, closely knit group of nerds that love gear, not all of whom are great musicians. I mean, a lot of people who are addicted to gear are actually compensating for being inadequate or maybe even failed musicians. A lot of us are small time, a lot of us sort of do our own home produced music, and get into this business of collecting or fetishizing guitars, ukuleles, and other stringed instruments. Really, we shouldn't take ourselves that seriously. We're not really that big in the grand scheme of things. Even if we get to the point of some of these big channels, it's really not fame by any real sense of the word, is it? And now I realize that some people are managing to make good money from the whole YouTube block. I would say it's a small percentage. I would say even some of the popular channels, after monetizing and try and drive people to a Patreon patronage, probably are spending money, not really a wage. Maybe there are a very small percentage on YouTube that actually get a living wage from doing this, but I would say that most people probably make just a little supplemental income, if any at all. Some of them pour it straight back into their channels, give away stuff, spend their money on video equipment. So it's sort of a self-sustaining thing. It just pays for their vlogging passion, if you like. But for most people, I would say this is along the lines of being a hobbyist enterprise. It's not something that you can consider, sort of a second or third job, if you like. And even myself, even though I do make money from restoring, fixing, setting up, selling guitars, I don't make any money off this YouTube channel. I haven't even bothered to try and monetize. I haven't even thought 1 second about starting a Patreon account or trying to find a way to make this profitable. And I would say that the majority of YouTubers, probably in that boat. Although most people, by definition, by just human standards, being that we are a narcissistic sort of animal, we want our channels to do well. We want to get subscribers. We want to be we want our stuff to be watched. And so we try to create content that titillates or aggravates or stokes passions, clickbait, if you like. So when these things come up, and of course, Rob Chapman's going to be a target. He's one of the biggest in this field. He's one of the most successful, not just from his YouTube enterprises, but because he has built his own guitar company and has made a splash in the guitar world. Recently, having his guitars picked up by Guitar Center, which you may or may not find a good thing. And I realize there are different opinions on that across the community. But anyway, I just think it's rather silly to get caught up into thinking that there is a caste system in the video making community. There are some vloggers or YouTubers that were popular that have disappeared or who have got tired of making videos or have moved on to other things in their lives. There are some that just always stay small. They're just humble. They don't buy the right equipment. It's not their intent to make it their main thing in life. So I just think we need a bit of perspective in all this, and that's why I'm doing this video. If you don't like a certain YouTuber or a certain product or a certain guitar maker, you are not obligated to follow them in any way. And I believe in live and let live. Now, if one of these guitar proprietors had done something to me personally, I might have something to say about it, but I'm certainly not going to take a side on speculation and opinions that haven't really been proven in lashing out against somebody. I just don't see the point in that at all. So there's my view on it. It's all rather laughable, if you ask me. And I'm being very hypocritical by making a 15-minute video on it. But I have to expose the exposure, if you like. I have to tear the clothes off the emperor, who is shadowing the emperor. Being an insignificant YouTuber, I feel like it's my right to foray into this field of silliness and take a dump and sully the field even more just to make a rather silly point. Okay, folks, on to more meaningful things the next time round.